Hello and welcome in to The Starters. This is The Starters Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and subscribe to us on YouTube at The Starters 690. I'm Dave Trentadue. That is George and Simon. How's it going, boys?
Very well, guys. How are you guys?
What's going on, boys?
Not much. I mean, we're not doing the morning show like you, Simon. That's, doing the grind on TSN 690, Monday to Friday morning show. That's how you liking it so far?
Banging out those morning shows.
Yes.
Listen, it's okay. I love doing it. It's just that I'd say it's that 4:30 wake up call till about 6:45, 7. I'm like, my body's wondering what the hell we're doing. But after that, it's we glide with Sean and I.
Nice. Well, you guys are doing a bang-up job, and I see it on social media. People are loving it so far. So keep
warrior. You're a warrior, my friend.
Yes. Yes.
All right. This podcast brought to you by Club CDL. Check them out at clubcdl.com. They're in the full swing for summer. So if you want to send your kids to summer camp to teach them some tennis, or if you want to join their spring junior rec program, or if you want to become a member for the summer, they have beautiful outdoor clay courts. Just hit them up, clubcdl.com. All right, ready to dive in, boys?
Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. All right. Question number 1 brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. Check them out at Cunningham's Pub on Instagram. The best chicken wing in town. All right. We're fresh off, a few hours off of a Juraj Slafkovsky hat trick, bringing him up to 19 goals on the season. And I mean, what a crazy second half this has turned out for Slafkovsky. I don't think anybody really could have predicted it, and if they did, well, they were probably just hoping more than predicting. So I just want to know, what are your projections for Juraj Slafkovsky's next season in 2024-2025?
I'm gonna go with. I'll do the math easy for you, Dave. I'm gonna give you 26 goals.
Ooh, wow.
26 goals.
Okay.
And 39 assists. What does that come out to, Dave?
Easy math. What? Come on here.
How is that easy math? Jeez. That's anything but easy math here. Yeah. You didn't want to go round numbers, huh? It didn't feel like
I wanted to say 26 and 34,
Okay.
which is 60. So
Right.
I'll say 38, so it's 64 points. Yeah,
All
I think
right.
there's a balance. It's not going to be as bad as it was at the beginning of the year, clearly, but the tear that he's on now is something that is hard to do, especially in your, second and third year in the National Hockey League. So I think somewhere in the middle is reality. I think there's a couple of more goals there on the power play, because I just, I've been saying it for about a decade now. It should be ready to turn the corner. So you find a few more goals there. I think he'll draw the attention of more defenders. I think his line will draw the attention of better centers or maybe better defensive game plans. So it doesn't just get that easy. So just give me that 26 goal total. Give me that 64-point total, and quite content with that.
All right, George.
Look, before I give you the projection, I just want to tell you, I think he falls somewhere in the middle of Jaromir Jagr and Thomas Holmstrom, right? Which is a big gap between the two. So the point is, though, it's very positive for the Montreal Canadiens and all the Montreal Canadiens fans what's going on. And if you think about the goals he scored yesterday, he didn't score 3 goals of the same type of goal.
Mm-hmm.
He scored 3 goals, but 3 different types of goals, right? That little deflection in the front, the side of the net goal, and then that sort of like breakaway type goal. And that is just so positive for the Montreal Canadiens and Juraj Slafkovsky. So I'm going to say, and I don't think he'll be Jagr. I think everybody hopes that. But I do think he'll be somewhere between Thomas Holmstrom and Jaromir Jagr. So I'll say 64 points is exactly what I would have said. So I'm going to say 65. Just because we're playing sort of like the price is right. So I'll take everything above 64 on this one. I think he's going to have a good year. And I don't see why he wouldn't have a good year. He's starting to understand the game. It looks like he's really caught up to the speed of the game. He seems so comfortable in so many different types of situations with the Montreal Canadiens, whether it be the power play, whether it is. He made some great defensive plays yesterday, which kind of got lost in his 3 goals. He did a couple of back checks where I was like, okay, I mean, look, I think this is the most positive thing that's happening for the Montreal Canadiens this year. is that their number one pick looks like he's a bona fide number one pick. And I'm going to say 65 points.
All right. How many? You want to venture a guess on the goals here? Or,
I'm going to say I'm going to give him 29.
29. Man, you guys are optimistic. I like it.
29. I'm going to give him.
I love the optimism from both of you. That's
and I'll tell you, if he does get something like 75 points, then I'm starting to believe he might be a Jaromir Jagr type player, as crazy as it sounds. Because
he hit 75 points. I mean, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, well, not only that, but if you think about it, Jaromir Jagr in his first full year playing with Mario Lemieux, he's not playing with Suzuki. He was a great player. I don't want to take anything away from, Nick Suzuki, but he's definitely not Mario Lemieux. Had 57 points. So, I mean, or 59 or 57, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't know. Look, I think the jury's still out a little bit, but I'm hopefully optimistic, and I'm usually the pessimist of the three. So I'm gonna say 65 and cross my fingers on this one.
I also think the big thing we've seen this year is that he's not getting run over. Like last year, he
That's right.
Caught with his head down.
Mm-hmm.
He was targeted and people put him on his back. I don't think maybe we saw that at the beginning of the year, but I don't think, we're seeing this, later on in the second half and even the tail end of the season. And George brought up, like, he's getting the speed of the game. He's understanding the speed of the game. He's understanding the do's and don'ts in the National Hockey League. And last year was a big concern, man. Like because he's one of the biggest players in the NHL. And when you're one of the biggest players in the NHL and guys are still taking run at you, it's because you're out there. I don't think you're sleeping. You don't have that awareness of where you are in a rink. And we haven't seen that this year. So I think that's also a huge positive.
I agree. All right. Those were good answers. Simon, you docked the point because your math was very difficult. So
did you figure out what the math was, though? Did you calculate?
I figured it out. I have a whole
All right.
spreadsheet here. It's all right. I got there. All right. Question number 2. We'll stick with the Habs, and it's brought to you by Christina's Cuisine on Instagram. You can follow them there. And they just put out a nice post a couple of days ago. And I feel it sums up who they are about. Simon, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It is at the heart of our restaurant lies a deep-rooted love for our Greek heritage and a dedication to sharing its flavors with the world. And if you go on their Instagram page, I mean, you just see plate after plate after plate of food that I would love to eat, homegrown Greek food. So I don't know, Simon, have you been there recently? Because, I mean, it's, mouth-watering when I see
Yeah. It's fantastic. Don't forget, also opened for lunch as well. And, you can have the classic easy stuff that most people know, like the Yito pitas and stuff like that. But that's not what they're great. I have them often, but it's some of those home dishes cooked by mom that are right there. You walk in, there's a big little, like a display on your left-hand side. You can pick it before you even get to your table. So definitely worth the trip to Chamonix.
All right, perfect. So Christina's Cuisine on Instagram. Follow them there. All right, guys. So basically, the Habs are probably going to have a lot of changes coming up in the next few years. Contracts are expiring. There's going to be some moves, obviously. So I want to put the over-under of 10 players. 10 players for the current roster. Okay, so how many players from the current roster are going to be on the Habs' next roster when they make the playoffs? So the next time they make the playoffs, how many players from this year's roster are going to be on it? And I'm putting the over-under at 10.
I'm going to say, you want a number? Or you want me to just rattle them off?
Just over-under. I mean, you could do whatever you want.
So you don't obviously consider Logan Mailloux part of the current roster?
No.
He hasn't played a minute.
No.
So I'll go from the 12 regular forwards. I'm going to say 7. Yeah, I'm including Kirby Doc in there as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'll go with the top line. I'll go with Newhook. I'll go with Kirby Doc, and I'll go with probably Anderson and Gallagher because I don't think those contracts can be moved. So I think I'm not going to say you're stuck with them, but I don't think those contracts can be moved. So that's that. Okay. I'm going to say Mike Matheson will no longer be here. Kaden Gooley will be here. Struble will be here. That's 2. So maybe one more. I'll go to 8. Arbor Jacki. We'll see. Because, again, I don't know if I can't take the Lane Hudson. I can't take the Ryan Backer. I can't take the Mailloux. And give me one of the goalies. So maybe I said 6, 7. I'll stretch it to 8 max.
Well, now you're at 10 here.
Am I at 10?
You have Doc, Suzuki, Caulfield, Newhook, Anderson, Gallagher, Gooley, Struble, Jack-Eye, and one of the goalies.
Take
So
out
you're at
Struble.
even 10.
I'll go with 9.
So you're going to go take the under.
Yeah, I'll take the
A
under.
lot of turnover before the Habs make the playoffs next. All right, George.
So I went the last one. I went 1 over. I'm gonna go under on this one on Simon. I think there's gonna be actually less. So I can't see Gallagher being a part of this in any way. I think he's a buyout candidate, if anything, in the next couple of years. So I don't think he's going to be a part of it. Josh Anderson worries me. He's a kind of a maybe. Could bounce back next year. We'll see. I don't think either goalie is going to be there when they do make the playoffs. I think you're gonna go towards one of the younger guys that they've drafted pretty high up, probably in the next 3-4 years, because that's when this team's gonna be ready to win in 3-4 years. So I'll say Doc, Newhook, Suzuki, Caulfield. Probably one of them gets traded too. So at some point, Slafkovsky's there. On the back end, maybe 2 of the guys. So yeah, I'll go 7.
Wow. All right. You guys are expecting big changeovers, or you don't think that the Canes could make the playoffs ostensibly within in 2 years?
They can, but they would need to acquire some more help, right?
Well, I think there's the 5th pick this year.
That's right.
That's a spot. Probably Joshua Roy gets an extended look. I don't think there's a future with Raphael Harvey-Pinard. I think he's a good player. I think he'll play in the NHL. I just don't think the ticket is with the Canadians. And then whoever they just signed the Jack-Eye's brother. They got somewhere in the system. I don't know, Alex Tuck's brother somewhere out there. I think there's got to be a free agent that comes in that makes your roster better.
Absolutely.
I don't think Jake Evans is part of the team.
Dvorak is gone.
Dvorak's gone. So yeah, and I think there's 3 spots on the blue line, right? I think they're going to be penciled in for Mailloux, Reinbacher, and Hudson.
I agree, and I just can't see Matheson unless something major happens. A team not offering a first round and to acquire this guy, and where the Canadians are going to be in 2 years, probably that'll be too much to say no to.
Cool. All right, fair enough. I would take the over probably, just by the odds of a lot of these guys, they're going to have to stick around anyways because it's going to be hard to move some of these guys. So, well, I guess we'll see, but I think that it will probably be a little bit over 10. All right, question number 3, brought to you by Fresh MTL. It was their 10-year anniversary this past Saturday. They posted a couple of pictures on Instagram. You can follow them at Fresh MTL, and it looked lit. They had some nice balloons and all sorts of things. They had a DJ going. It looked like a good time. So Fresh MTL, I mean, they have all sorts of good stuff, good smoothies, shakes, and like home cooked meals that you could just take. Simon, you take anything out from there recently?
I had a shake actually today, but also I went to it was their 10-year anniversary on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had to make like a 12-foot putt to win a prize, and I missed the putt. Left it.
You missed.
Jesus.
Didn't leave it short, which is what I usually do with my putts, but I missed the putt. No, great stuff. Again, for if anybody wants to make sure you know what you're eating, you want to eat healthy, you want those pre-fab meals for you, perhaps somebody, a parent, a grandparent, whatever it may be, they deliver as well. So great turnout. Nice little day too. Was a little bit cool on the outside, a little bit from that slush that was remaining from the snow, but had a good time there on Saturday.
Awesome. So check them out at Fresh MTL. All right. I want to know, guys, simple question. Stanley Cup playoffs on their way. I just want to know who is the best hope for a Canadian Stanley Cup this season. Who is your best hope?
You want me to go on this one?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've said it since the beginning of the year, right? If you guys want to play a little histrionics here, I predicted the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Edmonton Oilers. That was my initial prediction. I'm going to stick to this prediction. And I'm going to say, at some point, a player like Connor McDavid's got to win a Stanley Cup. I just think he's going to do it. I believe the Leafs are a bit of a pipe dream in my case here, but I'm going all Canadian because it's got to happen at some point, right? I mean, we haven't had a Stanley Cup winner, a Canadian Stanley Cup winner since the Montreal Canadiens in 1992. So I'm gonna say, the Edmonton Oilers are got to be the favorite, if you want, of the Canadian teams to win a Stanley Cup. I know, Winnipeg's looking Pretty good. I mean, a good dark horse pick if you want for the playoffs. But Vancouver's been steady the whole year. But at some point, a Canadian team has to bust through, and I just think it would be poetic justice if we had two Canadian teams for once. And I'm sure the NHL would just love that.
I think I don't like the Leafs first round matchup, whether it's
Tampa,
Florida, or Boston.
Boston.
So that's tough to go. The Oilers I was watching a little bit the Oilers in Vegas earlier tonight. The Oilers were leading 1-0 in that game, but the Vegas Golden Knights just have a real good, solid record against Edmonton. They knocked them out in the playoffs last year. They can kind of suffocate them. I don't like the Jets' chances against the Avalanche in the first round, if that's the way it plays itself out. So I will take the Vancouver Canucks sitting as a 2 seed and probably going to play Predators, LA Kings, whoever it may be. Maybe Vegas goes on a terrible slide to end off the season and they go to into the final wildcard spot. I'd be a little bit surprised if that happened. I'll just take the Canucks because I like their first round matchup better than I like all the other first round matchups.
Wow, that's okay. That's a little off the board. I like it. I think you guys have to take keep a close eye on the Leafs. I think they're flying a little bit under the radar.
They're my pick for the Eastern Conference. I've said it.
I think if they can get, I like their chances against the Bruins. I don't like their chances against the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's one of those years I find that, it's usually how it happens. Is like there's always a focus on these teams, and then eventually it's as if their time is done and they fly. They didn't make any big moves at the trade deadline for the first time in years. It's usually teams like that end up winning.
But guys, listen, in all honesty, if you think about it, the Edmonton Oilers are playing about 700 hockey right now. If you take away the first 20 games that they had, it was a disastrous start to the season. So the Edmonton Oilers are the best team in the NHL if you remove those 20 games. I understand you don't remove the 20 games, but I just think they're deep. They can skate. They've got everything you need to win a Stanley Cup. Maybe not the goalie, but other teams have won Stanley Cups without a top-end goaltender. Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, and the Leafs, just to pump their tires a little bit, in their last 28 games, lead the NHL in wins, points, and goals scored. So that's a good streak going into the playoffs. Going in there, I mean, they're slowly getting a little bit hot. So, so we have the Canucks, the Oilers. I mean, there's a good chance. This is a good, exciting year for Canada. And
go Canada!
There you go Canada. All right, we'll move on to question 4. We'll go to the association in just a second. But first, it is brought to you by EA Fitness. And EA Fitness, you could follow them at eafitness.inc on Instagram, and they're doing something I've never seen before. There's not a lot of things that get me to work out, guys. As you may know, it's one of my Achilles heel. Not a big fan of it, all right? I'm not going to lie to you. But they are giving away, somehow you could sign up for their spring challenge is what they're calling it, and there's a jump starter one, the accelerated one, a game changer one. There's all 3 different packages you could sign up for, and when you do, you have a chance to win a voucher for a trip to Europe. Like what kind of, who does that? What kind of gym gives away such an amazing prize? There's also other little prizes, including memberships and a spa. But I mean, a voucher to Europe is quite nice in terms of enticement to get me into a gym.
I think they're doing specifically, Dave, to get you in the gym.
I think it is. They listen to me week after week, and they're like, "How are we going to get this guy?"
It's the Dave package, they call it.
Yeah, the Dave package. I like that.
I love it. So check them out, eafitness.inc, and on Instagram. And trust me, you will not be disappointed. I mean, they have a great page, all sorts of cool things, and they have all sorts of tailored programs for anybody looking to work out. All right, guys, to the association. NBA playoffs coming up soon. I just want to know, who is your dark horse going into the playoffs?
Like, who's your dark horse? Like, if you look at the, I don't even have the stand. I have my computer in front of me. I don't have the standings, but if you look at like the Warriors are like 2 years, they're a dark horse, but they're 2 years removed from a championship. Like the Lakers, are they a dark horse? Like, they have 2 of the 10 best players in the league. The West is so loaded, and I really don't trust anybody in the East. So I'm just gonna say, and look, how are they a dark horse when they have like two of the 15 best players in the league. Give me the Phoenix Suns. Just give me the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant.
That's a true dark horse.
Yeah, that's if you take the Clippers, they're not a dark horse. They're better than the Suns. Their record, right? And they have their 3 stars on that team. So I don't know if a team that has a healthy Kevin Durant and Devin Booker come playoff time is a dark horse. I like the fact that they signed Isaiah Thomas to a 10-day contract. Now they're signing him to the rest of the season. That's a nice story. I don't think it makes them that much better. But just quietly, the Nuggets won their championship. They'll get a lot of noise. Everybody loves watching Anthony Edwards play with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The great story, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dortz in Oklahoma City, but they win too much to be a dark horse. So I got to look a little bit lower on the board. So give me the Phoenix Suns with their probably so far over the cap. It's ridiculous. They're paying luxury tax, but I'll go with them.
All right. George?
So listen, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a Denver-Boston gig there in the finals. But if I had to pick a dark horse, it would be the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks have been kind of maligned with injuries this year, whether it's Giannis or Dame that have been banged up a little bit. They haven't had a lot of time to kind of gel together. I think those are, again, 2 of the top maybe 15 players in the NBA. Giving them a chance to kind of run the court together. I understand they're 1 game ahead of Orlando, so they haven't exactly been world beaters, but you give me those 2 guys and they can win any game, and the East is pretty weak if you take Boston out of it. So is there a world that's that crazy where the Milwaukee Bucks managed to make it to the finals? No, because they'd only have to beat Boston, and they've cruised to the playoffs thus far. So then that would leave a matchup with Boston. And if you can beat Boston, well, then you got 4 games to win and you're an NBA champion. Who knows? So I'm going to say Milwaukee as my dark horse. But if I had the smart money, Boston, Denver looks almost like it's going to happen. But a lot of good teams in the West, like Simon said.
All right. And we'll move over to the final question, brought to you by Vivaldi, best bring your own wine restaurant, Italian restaurant in all of Montreal, located in the West Island, Pierrefonds. Check them out at Resto Vivaldi on Instagram. Tell Dave and Steve that the starters sent you. All right, so depending on when you're listening to this or watching this, the Masters are probably underway, or they're about to begin. So I just want to know, guys, who's going to win this year's Masters?
I'm excited, Simon. Can I go first on this one? Because I'm super excited.
All right.
I got to tell you, there's 2 names that just keep popping up. Obviously, the smart money is on Scottie Scheffler, who is just, I think his tee to green is like off the charts #1. Nobody's even close to him. He's basically been in a top 10, I think 9 times since 2020, which is second only to Rory McIlroy. Scottie Scheffler is without a doubt, just because of his ball striking wins Augusta, the odds-on favorite. That being said, who I really, really like, and I think he doesn't get enough traction just because he hasn't been able to put the major wins together. It's Xander Schauffele, who has 4 top 10s, in his last, I believe, 5 majors. So he's the guy to watch. I think he's a guy that's been so close, and I think he's going to do it. He's the guy I would bet on. Obviously, it's going to be tough to go against the guy that's right now the odds-on favorite in Scottie Scheffler, but Xander Schauffele is looking good. He's getting hot at the right time. I think the course is made for him. So if Scheffler doesn't win, Schauffele wins. That's my pick. Go ahead, Simon.
Because I got to go to bed. It's going to be Tommy Fleetwood. It's going to win the Masters.
Tommy Fleetwood. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood. It's crazy, though. I was just, as you were talking, I just wanted to punch up because I saw an article earlier today on Scottie Scheffler and the odds for him to win.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Tiger-esque, like even in his height. Yeah, obviously was as favorite, but we haven't seen anybody as favorite entering Augusta. in a long time. And the funny thing is, he's not the world's best putter. He literally missed a 5-foot putt, 6-foot putt on 18
Yeah.
2 weeks ago to have his, that would have put 3 wins. I forget what tournament it was. It would have been 3 wins in a row, and he missed a 5-6 footer on 18. So he's not the world's best putter, which you're supposed to get killed at Augusta if you're not the world's best.
But you know what he is, Simon? He's the most disciplined golfer in the world.
Yeah,
That's what he is, and that.
He'd agree.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
So, but I'll still go with my boy. He's like ridiculous odds to win this thing. So, but I'll just say Tommy Fleetwood for the heck of it.
For the record, I thought Simon would go with Will Zalatoris.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Come back off the injury. There'll be a time. His game is okay for Augusta, but his time is not just yet.
Very well.
All right, so don't forget, tune in to Simon 6 to 10 a.m. every day, pretty much, on the TSN 690 for the coming weeks. And check us out here. Give us a follow at the Starters 690. Thanks, boys.
Ciao, boys.
All right, boys.
Good night,
Take care.